What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Having a good Tuesday morning, day 2 of August, and plenty of stuff to discuss. One being, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. It wouldn't be a day without discussing Cristiano Ronaldo, but it's not just Ronaldo we're going to discuss today. We've got Frenkie de Jong, the second best favorite thing to talk about at the moment. Frenkie de Jong, that transfer saga. Benjamin Sesko, Manchester United's pursuit of him, in addition to other Premier League clubs pursuing him as well, and possible outgoings at Manchester United in the defensive department. Several offers are wanted for several defenders, DJ. But DJ, how are you doing on this good Tuesday morning?
I'm doing good. I'm just soaking up a lot of the information, just like everybody else. I'm in a conflicting mood when it comes to Manchester United in this transfer window and the pre-season. But we're getting to the business end of the transfer window now. So I've been good, but I am a little bit apprehensive.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, look, especially as the season gets closer, there is, and I keep having to sort of remind myself, the season for us starts on Sunday, Brighton at home. The actual Premier League season starts, of course, Friday. Arsenal playing Crystal Palace. Can't wait for that, by the way, because of the meltdown. Oh, what better way to start a Premier League season? It's becoming a bit of a tradition. Arsenal opening it and then hopefully losing on a Friday. It's just so much fun. But I'm excited for that, and I'm happy for some sort of normalcy to come back to the sort of daily life and daily routine. But also when you start thinking about Manchester United, you do sort of cast your mind back to the end of last season and go, oh, yeah. Yeah, week to week, that wasn't very fun, was it? So, no. I mean, before we get into the Ronaldo stuff, how are you actually feeling ahead of the season? Is there any sense of confidence, or is there a sense of, as you mentioned, a bit of unknown?
I think it's a bit of everything. Literally a bit of everything. I think I have confidence kind of in Ten Hag. You know, what I've seen from him over the preseason is kind of giving me that optimism in a sense that we've got the right man for the job. I just think it's everything else that surrounds it. It's you know, the mess that the club was left in. We still have players that need to go out. You know, there is the looming shadow of Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United. I'm kind of eagerly waiting to see how Ten Hag deals with him, because that is a whole thing in itself. And then there's a transfer window. It's what players we're going to get in. Are we going to get our number one targets? You know, we've mentioned De Jong. We've chased him for the whole transfer window. Doesn't seem to be any conclusion in sight just yet. So again, I'm so sort of conflicted in my feelings, Owen, literally. Like, we have the right man for the job. I'm under no illusions. I'm impressed with the team that he has in terms of, you know, his staffing team. But it's just everything else. And that's kind of where a lot of us are divided in the fan base. So, yeah, I think I'm just very conflicted this morning going into this season as well.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I've said several times that basically my feeling is that this season is going to be a lot like the 2 games we had over the weekend, where some games are tough to watch and some games it's just maybe a lack of quality in the final third. There is an attempt to play good football. There is an attempt to play nice football. There is an attempt by Erik ten Hag to really implement his style, his philosophy. But it's going to be like pulling teeth. It's going to be difficult at times. And some of the players just aren't really capable of doing it. You're asking them to do things that they're just not capable of doing. And that's no disrespect to them. They were brought in to play in other systems, and that's going to be a struggle for them. This is just, it's the rebuild. It's the rebuild philosophy. It's going to take a long time. And this season is not going to be perfect. And when you talk about we might finish 5th and we've got to kind of be happy with it, or 6th. And people go, you're lowering your standards, you're lowering the expectations. It's also being somewhat realistic. But I'm also open to saying that, you know, the Premier League season is very difficult to predict. The only thing that's probably easy to predict is probably going to be City or Liverpool that wins it. Apart from that, who knows? Who knows? Last season we were meant to challenge. Last season Chelsea were meant to challenge. Didn't work out that way.
Exactly. And I think one of the things I've noticed actually is from the end of last season, there was a lot of United fans that were resigned to the fact that we could potentially be 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever. But I think now that they've seen how Ten Hag is as a manager, now that they've seen, you know, just little improvements here and there, and he's kind of laid out the plan and blueprint, what he wants to fulfill at Manchester United, it's weird. It's kind of given a bit of optimism. So now a lot of United fans that I've spoken to are like, well, we need to be in the top 4. We need to be in the top 4. If not, he's going to lose his job. And I just don't think it's that black and white. I really don't. I think, You know, the board are fully aware of the mess that's been created. You know, the club are fully aware of the mess that's been created. So literally to give it to Ten Hag and say, look, you've got a season to get us Champions League football or get us challenging for the title was extremely unrealistic, especially when we have probably another several players that do need to leave United, and possibly we do need to improve on some of the starting 11. So it's a massive, massive job, probably the biggest job in world football at the moment. So my expectations, you know, and I'm probably going to get asked this again, but my expectations for the season is we'll probably finish 5th or 6th. You know, if we get into the top 4, that's a success for me. I'm not going to lie. It's not lowering my standards. We're just not that team anymore. We're just not. It's the reality. That's where we are, right? We're just not that team anymore.
Indeed. Let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, because I don't know if you've seen DJ. A little bit going on.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Smidge. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw KG on social media yesterday. He was busy. He was very busy on social media. A lot of people were busy on social media yesterday talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. We're going to talk about that part of it a little bit later on. But the latest update when it comes to Cristiano Ronaldo, his future at Manchester United, comes from James Ducker of The Telegraph, who says that the signs point increasingly to Cristiano Ronaldo being forced to stay at Manchester United next season, with the club refusing to back down from their insistence that he is not for sale. He also continues, and this is where my sort of frustration comes into it, Chelsea, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and PSG have all distanced themselves from Cristiano Ronaldo. Nothing has materialized with Napoli, and a loan to Sporting Lisbon is considered a non-starter. Manu Sainz, who is a journalist based in, I think it's Spain, is saying the two most feasible options for Cristiano Ronaldo seem to be Napoli and Atletico, even though Atleti have distanced themselves publicly. The president has, despite Atleti's president denying interest. Atleti need to make several sales to fit the numbers. Ronaldo is greatly desired by Diego Simeone, but of course, we saw the banner that was unveiled by the Atleti fans during their preseason friendly. So while maybe Simeone and the president wants him of the club, the fans do not either. What have you made about all of this craziness surrounding Cristiano Ronaldo? And what did you make of the situation at the weekend? It must be said, Sky Sports came out yesterday about the whole leaving at halftime situation, saying Manchester United have clarified that Cristiano Ronaldo leaving Old Trafford prior to the final whistle is not an issue for them, and that he was one of a number of players to do so. I saw a lot of people almost celebrating this, like they were justified. There was a lot of "I told you so's" going on yesterday. I would just say, read as to what is being actually said there. There's been a lot of discussion about permission. There's been a lot of discussion about, was he allowed to leave? Wasn't he allowed to leave? United have come out and said it's not an issue. That is not saying he was allowed to do so or not. And I don't want to be like that guy that's like tinfoil hat conspiracy. It's United coming out going, no, we don't really care. I would also say, what else are Manchester United going to say? Are they publicly going to come out and go, we're furious? Are they publicly going to come out and go, no, he was meant to stay. We didn't know. I can't believe what's going on. Of course, they're not going to do that. They want to try and make this as small of a story as possible because it's a big story anyway. So I saw a lot of people yesterday giving it, yeah, we were right. And it's sort of a case of, well, I haven't really said anything there. They just go, oh, it's not an issue. It's not an issue. But what did you make of all of that? What did you make of the hubbub of him leaving at halftime? What did you make of his performance? What do you make of this thing now where he's forced to stay? And is he forced because United are unwilling to sell, or is he forced because nobody wants him, or a hybrid of both?
I think it's a hybrid of both. I think, if United did get sort of like, Anthony in and maybe one more attacker after that, I think then maybe they would, be sort of ushering him out the door. But I think Ten Hag's no fool. Ronaldo, for me, I'd like him to leave Manchester United. I just think we could do without, the media circus and the media attraction that comes with him, because it becomes like this. Every little thing he does is scrutinized and blown up and magnified. And I think after the season we've had, we could do kind of without that, to be fair. But here we are. And I think him leaving at, was it halftime or was it the 75th minute? I heard he left around about that time anyway. But I just think, look, end of the day, you're right, Owen. And that's why we got on so well, because you're quite logical in your assessment. I'm Mr. Logical myself. I like to think so. So, the club coming out and saying, yeah, he was a number of players to go. He was one of the number of players to have gone and whatnot. They're not actually saying they were okay with it. And you have to always read between the lines and really, really dissect kind of what's being said. Remember, clubs are PR trained, right? So they're going to say a lot sometimes without saying it, if that makes sense. So with him, I just think, you know, it's Ronaldo, innit? You're going to get this. You're going to get this. And plus, when you compound that with kind of what happened on the pitch, he had like a few words with Ten Hag. I didn't blow that out of proportion, but again, because it's Ronaldo, people magnify that. Again, people are going to put two and two together. Literally, they're going to do that. For me, personally, if you're asking what DJ honestly thinks about it, I think it's him just pulling rank. I think it's him doing what Ronaldo wants to do. I think he's not happy. I think he wants to leave. I think that's clear and obvious for everyone to see. And I think it's going to be an issue if he's made to stay. I do. Like, you know, when you read the report, it said United having to maybe force him to stay. Like, I think even that's going to be an issue. And, you know, if Ten Hag's smart, which I think he is, I think he's going to try and look for the best solution for Cristiano Ronaldo and get him out, even if that is at the expense of us losing, you know, our top goal scorer in the team. So keeping an unhappy Ronaldo can affect everything next season. So I hope he does leave.
I'm interested in this. So this comes from Cash Siash. Apologies if I've mispronunciated your name there. But says you a lot have an agenda against Cristiano. Now, the reason I bring that up and appreciate the comment is that I've seen a lot of that on social media and in some of the comments the last 24, 48 hours, in that when you discuss this and you say that I'm not happy in the way that him and his agent have offered him out to so many clubs and they've said no, and yet he still wants to leave or offer himself out to clubs. I'm not happy, as KG said yesterday, with the message maybe that it sends by leaving at halftime, irrespective of permission or not. And that gets, nowadays, if you criticize, that means you have an agenda. You have an agenda. TJ, you have an agenda. And agendas, I would argue, can go both ways. Agendas can go in terms of criticizing players and also blindly praising them as well.
Yeah.
As I've said a million times, for some reason nowadays, social media is you have to be in one camp or the other. It's got to be binary choice. It's got to be red or blue. You know, you can't, or black or white. You can't have anything else, right? There are shades of gray in life. You know, Ideally, I want Cristiano Ronaldo to stay at Manchester United. I want Cristiano Ronaldo to stay and score 25 goals or 30 goals. I want Ronaldo to stay and Eric Ten Hag to get the best out of him and go, it was a match made in heaven. Eric Ten Hag wants Cristiano Ronaldo to stay. He said it a million times. Yeah. As a fan and as someone that really likes Ronaldo and appreciates and has adored everything he's done for the club in both of his spells, it hurts me a little bit that, as I mentioned, he's offering himself out to all of these clubs. That hurts. That hurts as a fan. And as I mentioned before, when he first stated that he wanted to leave, or those reports first came out that he wanted to leave, and it was because, I don't think the club matches my ambition. I want to win things. I want to play in the Champions League. Fair enough. We can't offer you that. We're rubbish at the moment. We're not in the Champions League. Fair enough. Once those, as the report mentions, once all of those people have distanced themselves or rejected the possibility of signing Ronaldo, it's kind of a case of, well, it's over. Move on. You didn't get what you want, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate there might be other facets of this as well, because, again, everything isn't black and white. There are shades of grey. There are multiple different reasons why he wants to leave. But if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Get your head down. And as I mentioned, it's the constant sort of willingness to almost take a bit of a slap in the face and go, yes, please, I'll have another one. I don't understand that. And that isn't me as well advocating that, when he plays, we should be booing him or anything like that. That's nonsense. Why would you do that? Why would you boo a player when they're playing, when they're wearing the shirt at Old Trafford? I don't get that whatsoever. So, as I mentioned, if you criticize Ronaldo or you talk about him, that's an agenda against him. And I certainly consider myself not to have one. If I've got one agenda, it's to support the club, and want us to win. But and again, I don't get that. But that's just me. Juladon01 says, would you go in for San Maximan since no Anthony? I'd have loved to have signed Alan San Maximan. And prior to Newcastle being taken over, it'd have been a real realistic signing. Now.
Nah, there's no chance that Newcastle would even entertain that. And plus, you're right. They would charge astronomical fees for him. I don't see that happening. Not in a million years, to be fair. But back to the agenda thing. You're right. You're right in what you've said. With me, I look at it like this. I try and look at both sides of an argument. In terms of Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, he's going to score us loads of goals. Would I ideally want him to stay and play for Manchester United? Yeah, but he's already made his decision. So for me, then cool, I'd like him to leave. Then if that's what he wants, then cool. Let's not keep him. Let's not hold him hostage. He can go. I then look at why does he want to leave? Because clearly our interest and his interests aren't aligned at this point, and that is fine. Like he wants to seek pastures new. That's not why I want him to leave, because he wants to go and seek pastures new. I just think in the way the business has been conducted, I think the timing of the business, how it's been conducted, it is kind of a bit off. He should have said this as soon as the season finished. We would have had time to maybe get in replacements, and there wouldn't be this sort of rat race per se. And I think the one thing that kind of a lot of fans are probably upset with, and I'm upset with, is just he's clearly now trying to maybe alienate himself a little bit. So when you know Ten Hag wants to kind of bring this togetherness and bring this sort of togetherness with the team, he's not stupid. He knows leaving at half time or the 75th minute or when he's very smart. He knows what that can do. He knows the power that he has. Do you know what I mean? He knows that. So he knows that if he's on the pitch and he's having a back and forth with Ten Hag, or he's throwing his arms out, he knows that there's cameras on him specifically because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. He knows what effect it's going to cause. So with him leaving, you couldn't tell me he could have just waited. He could have just left with everybody else. But because he's Cristiano Ronaldo, he must leave at half time, 75th minute. You know what headlines that's going to bring. And I just think that enough's enough. Like I'm still traumatized by last season, Owen. I still am with all the leaks and all the press. And it's like we had a flipping reporter sitting in the dressing room every day at Manchester United, reporting on everything that's going on. And, I'm just kind of tired of it. And I think with Ronaldo, we're going to get that. You're going to get that with the best player in the world. So I'd rather do without, personally.
One thing I would say, and this is, I was cooking my chicken yesterday, DJ. I was cooking my lunch, and I was thinking about the Ronaldo situation because I was watching TV yesterday because all this Ronaldo craziness was going on. I was watching TV. I was enjoying what I was watching. Finished. I enjoyed that, and then I went back on my phone and I saw it all again. I went, oh God. You know what I mean? Because it is draining. It's and then exhausting. I thought, as I was cooking my chicken, I thought, let's say in a hypothetical world, let's say Ronaldo had moved already. Let's say he went to Chelsea. Mm-hmm. You think in a pre-season friendly for Chelsea, would he leave at half-time at this point of time?
No,
he wouldn't, because they would go, because the response would be, oh, new signing, what's he doing? Leave it at half-time. He wouldn't. Yeah. So to your point, I don't know if he knows what he's doing. I don't know if he's that calculated. I would argue of just like, I don't know if he cares about the reaction that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's probably, you know what I mean? Of like, I might get a bit of reaction. Oh, who cares? I turned up, I played. So that is what that is. I mean, the expectation is that he's not going to start this weekend, clearly against Brighton. Anthony Martial is going to be the guy that starts. He might be on the bench, Cristiano Ronaldo. And then I guess to your point before, the frustrating thing will then be that what are people talking about heading into that game? What are they talking about? They're going to be talking about Ronaldo on the bench. Exactly. They're going to have, the Zoom of him on the bench and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yes or no? Do you think he'll stay? Do you think he'll go as the transfer window gets closer? There were some reports last night saying he wants his future sorted out. For the 7th, he wanted his future sorted out before the 7th of August. That's not going to happen. That's 5 days away. But do you think as the transfer window gets closer and closer, do you think if he does get that offer on the table? Because I was thinking about this too. He doesn't have an offer at the moment, but if he does have an offer, do you think maybe that's when it starts to get a little bit more nasty of, well, actually now I've got to move to force through here?
Yeah. I do think if, there is a club that is serious about taking him and there's a possibility that can happen, then we will start seeing him slowly turn the screw in, not showing up for match day and, maybe saying, we'll hear the injury. Oh, he's just got a minor injury, so he's out of this game. And we'll start seeing that. But again, I just think, the timing hasn't been good for Ten Hag. And we're going to probably talk about Sesko in a little bit, but, if he does come in, then maybe we see an acceleration in Ronaldo leaving. So, yeah.
A couple of super chats here. Lil Yo-Yo with the super chat says, I think all this CR7 talk moves us away from the real issue. Lack of transfers. Whatever happens will happen. I'm more concerned with our midfield/forward line. Appreciate the super chat, Lil Yo-Yo. I saw some people, again, this was one of the weirder narratives on social media, was that the Glazers love this Ronaldo discussion because it distracts them from us not doing transfers. And I sort of thought about that. I went, I don't think so. I don't. First of all, I don't think the Glazers really give a shit. Clearly, they don't. In terms of the minutiae, in terms of social media and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to that they're happy with talking about Ronaldo because they're not focusing on the lack of transfers. No, I mean, it's the same way of like going, oh, if you want Ronaldo to leave, you're back in the Glazers. I don't understand that one either. Yeah. Some of the sort of mental gymnastics that have been going on with it is quite strange. Game Fanatic, honestly, I don't care what CR7 wants. If he stays, I think his ego will make him perform for us, even if he is here against his will, which is, to be fair, that's what I think. I think that's pretty much spot on, Game Fanatic. I know that, again, that's not the unanimous kind of thing, but I agree. I think if the transfer window shuts and he's a United player, I still think he performs. That's why I want him ultimately to stay, because I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo, in terms of, as Game Fanatic mentions there, by his ego, is just, if he's wherever he is, he's still got to be the best in his mind, right? Yeah. So he wouldn't want to sit and just be like, oh, I'm going to sulk for the remainder of the season. He wouldn't.
But there's going to be a period where he does sulk. He's only human. Yeah, and that's going to be the toughest period, because if he's going to, and then it also, there's so many issues with Ronaldo in the sense of, not big issues, but they are issues nonetheless. Like, if you look at the fact that, obviously I know it's sort of like a kind of like a shot in the dark, but if Martial starts performing and he keeps Ronaldo out of the team and Ronaldo can't get into that front three, what does that then start to look like? Because then he's been forced to stay at a club that he's not even going to be playing that much. Do you know what I mean? That's something to think about. I know it's probably way off because Martial and consistency, you don't really put those two in the same sentence. But if Ronaldo, doesn't get into that starting 11, how does he feel about that? What's the antics going to be then? What about if he's not doing what Ten Hag wants? We saw a little bit of that in the last game. Like, what if he but what if he is just not best suited to the system that Ten Hag wants? Ten Hag might have to change everything just because of that. So there's all these little niggling things that we're seeing with Ronaldo. And I just don't want them to become massive issues if he does stay. If he does stay, I think he just needs to fall in line like the rest. Literally just fall in line like the rest. But no, Ronaldo, that's not going to be easy for him.
Lux with the super chat says, here's a theory. Remember the story? He wasn't happy about the 25% wage reduction. Maybe that's what all of this is really about. He knew we weren't in the Champions League at the end of last season. I don't know if it's about, I appreciate the contribution. I don't know if it's necessarily about the money, because I think if it was about the money, he wouldn't be willing to take pay cuts to go to these other sides. I do think it's a bit like, so for instance, like say they've been linked to sort of Sporting Lisbon, but you also think about it. Okay, they're in the Champions League, but even with Ronaldo, are they getting out of the group stage? They're not winning the Champions League. So in terms of the idea of I want to go and play in the Champions League to win it, I know you have to be in it to win it, but I mean, and this could be the most epic clip of all time, but Sporting Lisbon are not winning the Champions League this season. I feel safe. with that one, DJ. I don't like doing predictions.
Was you safe with Leicester winning the Prem? Did you think they'd do it? Because I never, in a million years.
No. But who did? Nobody did. The bookies and all that. But yeah, so I don't know if it's necessarily about the money. I think it's just about playing at the highest level. I think individual stuff does come into it. The goal scoring thing with Messi. Yeah, I think there is a part of it that they just, because again, to want to go, even Atleti, let's face it, if he goes to Atletico Madrid, which I don't think he will, but if he does go to Atletico Madrid, are they going to win the Champions League? Really? I mean, their best opportunities when they had those two finals against Real Madrid. Now, I don't know if I see it. So for me, it's just about playing at that highest level. It feels like, doesn't it? Getting those accolades, getting those goal scoring Champions League records. I don't know, but nevertheless, as we get closer to the season and as we get further in this month, there's going to be more and more Cristiano Ronaldo discussion and drama. I'm sure of it. And look, the day that an actual proper offer is made or a proper club goes, yeah, we can afford him and want to pick him up, then things do change. As I mentioned, at the moment, maybe this professionalism is kind of based around, well, I don't actually have any concrete offers, so I don't want to really, shit where I eat. I was trying to think of a better way to say that, but who cares? I don't really want to do that. But if Atleti do say it is Atletico, say they do come out, yeah, we've sold Griezmann, we've sold this player, we can afford it, we can do it. maybe things change a little bit then. Maybe things start to get a little bit more nasty, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about something more positive, DJ. Frenkie de Jong. Yeah.
No. I believed you for a second there as
well. Yeah, So news coming out this morning is that Chelsea could hijack the Frenkie de Jong deal from Barcelona. This comes from The Athletic. This comes from Simon Johnson and Liam Twomey, who are both Chelsea. What's the right word? Chelsea correspondents. I was going to say representatives. That's not right. Correspondents from The Athletic. And they're saying that Chelsea are watching Frenkie de Jong's situation at Barcelona with considerable interest. Thomas Tuchel is a keen admirer of the player. De Jong's preference is to stay at Barcelona and collect every cent of the money he's being pressured to forego. But if he were persuaded to leave, the impression is that Champions League football makes Chelsea a more desirable destination than Manchester United. However, it was reported yesterday by, again, questionable outlet when you say Dario Sport. However, the reason I bring up this report is because it's also noises we have heard from the club as well. It's pretty on point. It was saying basically a similar situation on Sky yesterday, that Manchester United are very clear that Frenkie de Jong could give the okay to signing as long as the salary mess with Barcelona is solved. United are willing to help, although they understand that this is a negotiation between Barca and the player. Manchester United have brought out all their artillery and are willing to continue fighting until the last day of the transfer market for Frenkie de Jong. United are convinced he is open to joining despite everything that is being said. So you've got two sort of parts of that there, DJ. You've got Chelsea are waiting. They're the snake in the grass. They're waiting. They're sort of every so often, putting their head up and just checking out what's going on in the swamp. They're that sort of alligators do that, I think, don't they? When they're like that. And then you see the eyes. That's what Chelsea are. They're the alligator in the situation at the moment. We are still confident or hopeful that once this salary mess, if this salary mess is sorted out, we can get him, and have actually improved our offer to try and sort out this salary mess, even though we shouldn't really be giving Barcelona the money to pay the player. We're willing to do it to get this deal done. Before we started this morning, you came on this call and said, I'm worried. Why are you worried?
I'm worried because I just don't see it happening, honestly. And Chelsea are a more attractive prospect at the moment for Frenkie de Jong. Ten Hag aside, Ajax aside, all of that aside, like Chelsea, if he realistically wanted to win something, he has more chance at Chelsea at this moment in time. Way more polished team, very good manager. And he'd fit into their team really good. I think he would. I think he'd be really good for them. And it's just about kind of what the player wants at the end of the day. We know he wants his money. So if the money does get resolved, what is the more attractive prospect? However, on one side, you can look at it and say, United have been tracking him the entire transfer window. And he would have heard,
it's like 13 weeks.
It's been a long, long time. Honestly, a long time. And, through that time as well, United are now they've improved an offer, and they're trying to maybe pander a little bit to Barcelona, just a little bit to try and sweeten the deal and try and get them on side. Barcelona are open to selling. That's the main thing. But then it's about the player. The player's been the hardest one to convince out of this whole thing. And you can look at it in two ways. United are still in for him because I do reckon De Jong has instigated that, look, if I get what I'm owed, I wouldn't mind moving to you guys. But I think Chelsea is the spanner in the works. They've been sort of, as you said, the snake in the grass. They've been behind the scenes in this deal through the 13 weeks also, I believe. They've been there, And at first I didn't really take it seriously. But now I'm starting to look at them as serious major threats to taking him to the team. So I am worried, Owen. I am. Because if United do not get Frenkie de Jong, that is a massive L. A massive L. An L that, our rivals are going to be talking about all season, especially if he does go on to do good things. He's an amazing player. So I think, personally, it's not going to get done. I would have liked for us to maybe go for someone else. But at the same time, I can see why we're going to be in it to the last day. We've put all our chips and eggs in a basket here. This is it. It's Frenkie de Jong or nobody. So we need to make sure that we execute this. We have to make sure that we execute this. And looking at the team through preseason, I definitely see where he fits. I definitely see where he improves us. I think that's the frustrating thing. You see exactly where he's going to slot in. You see exactly what he can bring. So, Yeah, I'm just not confident with this deal.
It would be, there's two massive L's we could take here, isn't there? There's one that we just don't get him. And then you would say, oh, we pursued a player all summer. We didn't get him. He stays at Barcelona. And you go, what a waste of time. The bigger one is that if he does leave Barcelona, but he goes to Chelsea, because that's a player that we have pursued, the whole summer. And he not only came to the Premier League, but he went to another club, and we just, not only clearly we were never going to get him, and we've been sort of messed around a little bit there. Yasir says, here is the question. So CR7 leaves, right? What happens then? New start with these players. So you are putting everything onto Erik ten Hag and believe that these players won't throw him under the bus? Well, I would, to come back to that one, Yasir, and I appreciate the contribution as always, I would say, first of all, a new start's happening with or without Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a new start under a new manager, under a new regime, and an executive level. It's a new start because you've got people like Richard Arnold and John Murtough in positions that they weren't in previously. Not to say that they deserve a ton of credit, because I'm not sure they do at the moment. But the point being is that it's a fresh start with or without Cristiano Ronaldo. I agree with what I think you're inferring, which is that Erik ten Hag can't perform miracles, and you need to have the right players there, and you need to back the manager. And I still would be a massive advocate for that. I think we've got players in that ten Hag wants. Clearly, it's not enough. Clearly, we need 2 or 3 players more. And the bit about believe the players won't throw him under the bus. I mean, the Leopards, like the Roy Keane thing, right? Leopards don't change their spots and all that kind of stuff. The hope would be is that, and maybe this is being deluded, I don't know. But my hope would be that if there was an attempt at doing that, the infrastructure isn't there for those players to get away with it like it was in the past. That would be my hope. We've clearly seen under Ed Woodward's leadership of Manchester United that when it became a binary choice between the players and the manager, the players won every single time. And that's why they turned on players, and that's why they got away with it. Would that happen under this current regime? I don't know. And Lord knows, I hope not. I really don't. But you're right with what you're saying. The players throwing them under the bus. It's happened before. There's not to say it won't happen again. But I'm not sure what Cristiano Ronaldo would have to do with that part of it.
And he was only going to stay for one more season anyway. To be fair, wasn't he? He was only really going to stay for last season, potentially this season if we did well, and then he would have been gone for next season. So he was never going to be the long-term, solution up front. He was there more to try and improve the situation, try and improve where we are in the league, try and get us maybe a trophy or whatever. But he was never going to be part of the new sort of regime, the new world order at Man United, as I like to call it. So
but with the De Jong thing, as I mentioned, I'm with you, DJ. The Chelsea element does worry me about it because, well, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it worry? Because they've got something that we don't, which is Champions League. And if it does become a choice where his situation at Barcelona does get sorted out, and Chelsea, it would appear like basically United, they're pursuing the player intensely irrespective, and they've been doing it all summer. Chelsea are almost waiting of let's see if that does get sorted out and it looks like he's going to leave, we'll match United's offer, or we'll come in, or we'll do whatever, right? That seems to me what they're playing the long. Well, we're playing the long game as well, but they're sort of waiting to see what happens. Whereas United are hoping that if we keep sort of the front of the queue, then once it does get resolved, then maybe we've got the first shot at it.
It gets tough, though, if De Jong comes out and says that he wants to hear what Chelsea has to say. That's when it gets really, really tough. And that's when I would say, it's 0%. Because one thing about Chelsea Football Club, and it's not to big them up too much, one thing about them is that they're efficient in the market. They always have been very efficient in the market. So they move quick, they move decisive, they know what they want, they get the players. And there's never seems to be any drama. It's just, we identify this player, we're going to get him. So the minute De Jong gets his money, or a deal gets, or there's a settlement for some kind, that's when we'll really know what's going on. Because if he turns around and says, I'd like to, assess my options, we're out of the race. We're out of the race after that,
You see it back with another super chat. Says, so CR7 was part of the leaks, or is it just other players and the Glazers dropping the standards? and our fan base is just okay letting him go. These players throw Erik ten Hag under the bus, and the cycle continues. Well,
yes, yeah,
I don't think I said that CR7 was part of the leaks, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think I said that. And again, as I mentioned before, the bit about dropping standards, the standards have dropped. And as I mentioned, I think saying that United are going to finish, hopefully fourth, but fifth or sixth more realistic, is just being realistic with the position we're at. And about the fan base being okay to let Cristiano Ronaldo go,
he wants to go.
I think that's based on him wanting to go, is it not? This isn't a case of him going, I really want to stay at Manchester United, you're forcing me out. He wants out. He's forcing himself out. And again, I think some of the fans, make no mistake, you said there have been fans since he joined last year that were going, I don't know why we've bought him. He's rubbish. He's old. We don't need to be, all that kind of stuff. That was a minority, but those people are just louder now because Ronaldo himself wants to leave. I'm in the camp of I want Ronaldo to stay because, again, I've said that before, because I think he scores goals. But if he doesn't want to be here, then I also would say that if an offer comes in, let him go. The issue is an offer hasn't come in. That's the situation with it. Game Fanatic with Super Chat says, Erik ten Hag will throw these players out of the bus before they throw him under it. I think he has the authority and no BS mentality to drive this team. That's my hope, is like I was saying, DJ, is that, again, that infrastructure is there, that's not possible. But
he's got previous for it. I think he definitely would do that, and I think that's a great analogy to say. Like, I definitely think he'd be chucking players out of the bus before they throw him under, because we've seen it, with that player Noah Lang, at Ajax, he wasn't doing what Ten Hag wanted. And I think literally after their little on-pitch little altercation, the player was sold. So, and I like that. I like a manager that takes, the team by the scruff of the neck and demands what he wants. And if you're not willing to, get down with it, then you've got to lay down, you've got to get out. And I love that. I love that energy about him.
Shivam says, the CR7 saga is the perfect cushion for the Glazers and the board to deflect from the shambles of the transfer window we have had after our worst ever season. Erik ten Hag deserves a statue outside Old Trafford if he gets top four. Well, again, okay. and you see us back once again, going, Owen, the king of condescension. I apologize if I came across as being condescending, because I really wasn't. I appreciate the contributions. You gave your opinion. I gave mine. I'm not going to kick you out or anything like that. This is what it's all about. It's all about opinions and all that. I know, actually, to be honest, you see that I'm probably in the minority with some of these Ronaldo opinions that I've seen on social media. If you believe, if social media is a good gauge of things, which it's not most of the time, but if you think that it is, I know a lot of people are like back Ronaldo over the club, or back Ronaldo. If you're not backing Ronaldo, you're backing the Glazers and all that kind of stuff. Again, I think it's about opinions. I think it's about opinions and going back and forth. And ultimately, especially when you're in this game for long enough, no one's ever going to agree on everything. Exactly. And you can debate. You can debate, and even you have to come to the realization that at the end of a debate, you're never going to change someone's opinion. Most of the time, exactly. People have their opinions, and it's about remaining civil and
respectful. That's why we're here in this community. We're going to listen to everyone's sort of opinions, what they have to say. We have our own, and that's fine. That's fine.
Exactly. And as always, mate, I appreciate the contributions. It's a great way to support the channel. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko, who I really like saying his name.
I was going to say that. It's a soft J, and it's a. I like the way that you pronounced it. You pronounced it very smooth. Yeah. You pronounced it the correct way. I'm just very British when I say it Sesko. That's how it's spelled. I'm saying it as it says. It says Sesko. That's what I'm saying.
Benjamin Sesko. Yes. Yeah. According to Fabrizio Romano on his podcast, this will be a really important week for Benjamin Sesko. Manchester United are really keen. There is direct contact with agents last week and the week before. New direct contacts are planned this week also. But there are other clubs jumping into the Sesko saga. This is why this week will be important. Manchester United consider Sesko a top talent. It's not an easy one because Salzburg want to sell him next summer. The previous prices that have been quoted, DJ, are between sort of 45 to sort of 50, 55 million pounds. A lot of money. Young player. I think he's 19?
19, yeah.
But what's your thoughts on the Sesko saga? Is that a player we should be going for? Is it too much? We certainly need attacking reinforcements. So what are your thoughts?
I think it depends on kind of what's going on with Cristiano. I really do think it depends on that, because I think to spend 45 to 50 million on a very kind of unknown-ish 19-year-old, that's a red flag for me. We shouldn't be spending anything. But I do think that United, they approach deals a little smarter than they have done in the past now, a little smarter. So that would get probably put down to maybe 35 with add-ons or whatever you want to call it. But I'm not gonna lie, guys. I didn't know who this player was until he was linked with him. I'll be very, very honest with you. I didn't know who he was, but I took time to go and research. And I know Faz did. Big up, Faz. I know Faz did a little bit of research on him, and his goal return for a 19-year-old isn't that bad. It isn't that bad, and he gets a few assists also. And then when you look at his physical attributes as well, I think he's like 6'4", very technical, very skillful, and very quick as well. So he ticks all the boxes if you wanted to create, a prime centre forward. But it's about living up to that potential. But then it's also about living up to that potential in probably the toughest league in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So 45 for me is too much, way, way too much. I think we need to maybe 10 million less or even 15 million less. I think that would be the correct price. But yeah, I think we can buy someone that's promising, I know Faz came out and said, oh, he's not United quality, we shouldn't be going for him. But I think we tried buying ready-made players and it hasn't always worked out. So I wouldn't mind, getting this guy that's, just under the radar, coming through. He has bags of potential, all the attributes to succeed. And then under the right tutelage of, Eric Ten Hag and his team, we could potentially see, a player be born out of this guy. So I'm all for it. I do like that we're, trying to buy younger guys that are hungry, guys that want to come up. But I do fear, Owen, with his performance against Liverpool the other day, I do fear that, other teams are going to come in who are a bit more attractive for him. And especially now, imagine a team comes in and says, oh, this is what we'll do. We'll buy him and then loan him back to you guys. That is a very, very tempting proposition, I do think. So we just have to mind our P's and Q's with this.
With the Sesko one, love saying it. Benjamin Sesko. It's because I didn't know how to pronounce it, and then I did a Google search, and then one of these videos where they're like 5 seconds long, and it'll be in the proper accent, but Benjamin Sesko, and you go, oh, okay, that's how I'm going to say it. When this first came up, me and Flex, to be fair, absolutely poo-pooed it. We were like, no, it's just another one of those. Because you do see this with like Twitter or whatever. We just people just get fascinated with a young player, and they go, oh, this is the next big guy. He's going to be the guy. And I didn't think that much was in it, and because we get linked with a million players. But then the next day I was like, no, this is real. United are interested. And then if you're his agent, talk about great timing. You're getting linked to these clubs, and then you have a friend against Liverpool. He scores a good goal as well. I mean, that's just a license to print money for him. Yeah. Clearly, as I mentioned, we need attacking reinforcements. That front line, whilst that front three did look promising in pre-season, Martial, Rashford, Sancho. Huge questions about consistency. They were just pre-season friendlies, and there's a long season ahead. We have the Europa League to play in. We have the World Cup as well. We don't know how that's going to affect things, the fixture congestions that's going to come with that. Yeah. And Jadon Sancho was ill over the weekend, and immediately you just saw how light we were. We went, oh, we've got to play Alanga there, and he struggled. We've got to play Teef Chong, who just not up to the level. He's just not good enough. Garnacho looked promising, but he's still young. We're just really light. And we need attacking options across the front. Now, Šeško's more of a 9. It feels like I think we probably need more sort of attacking options on the wings, hence why we've been linked so much to Antony and why Ten Hag wants Antony so much. I think the weekend was the evidence as to why he wants Antony so much. Yeah. But Šeško's, do I think we'll get him this summer? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they would spend that amount of money. I mean, again, it depends on what does happen with this De Jong thing. If that does fall through, then maybe there might be some more money there. But let's face it, clearly they had some money set aside for Antony in addition to De Jong, and we're not going to get Antony. So maybe they do decide to spend it on Sesko. It looked like with the Antony deal, they wanted to spend around 50, possibly at a push 60 million. Yeah. That's what it would take to sign Sesko, but it's the case of, is he value for money at that point? So
definitely not.
I'm not sure about that. And it would be a gamble that United, I don't know if they're willing to take at this point. I saw a comment, I forget who it was from, but they were saying, actually, we spent a similar amount of money on Anthony Martial at that age as well. So
and look how
can we roll it out?
Yeah, but look how it's turned out. Yeah. So, and I believe Martial, you know, he played in a better team, you know, and he had a bit more of a buzz around him. Anthony Martial, there was a legit buzz when he was like 19, 20. So with Sesko, I think, see, I've
Nice.
said it like you now. Yeah.
Nice.
Like that? Yeah. Benjamin Sesko.
Yeah.
I do think that, I think United will do the deal, but it just comes down to how much they're going to spend. I think literally that's what it is. I think it's just down to how much we're going to spend.
Josh is in the chat. He says, I can't say Frenkie. I can say Frenkie. And I've been noticing, actually, when I've been watching like Sky, or I've been watching other stuff on YouTube or BT, a lot of people are saying Frenkie. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here making an attempt. I'm trying my best to say Frenkie, and other people aren't. It's a disgrace. You know what's also a disgrace? The number of likes that we have at the moment.
Oh, how many
we've got over 1,200 people watching, only 230.
Wow, guys.
Yeah.
Man. What's going on?
Not good enough.
What's going on? Not good enough. You
enough.
need to be pressing that like button with your porridge.
Yes, it's like United's transfer window. Not good enough.
Good
Need to be. We can do better. The minimum is 500. We can do that in the next 10 minutes. I believe in all of you. Keegan with a super chat says, "I'm not sure about the Benny McCarthy appointment. Did you see that, DJ? Benny McCarthy,
I didn't.
New striker, attacking coach for Manchester United, was a bit of a strange one and came out of nowhere. It felt like a Football Manager one. You know, when you're playing Football Manager and then someone's just randomly a coach. Like I saw another one. Yaya Toure is an academy coach at Spurs. It's weird. Random. But look, if Eric Ten Hag pursued Benny McCarthy and said, yeah, I think he offers something to our attacking options, back the manager. It's what he wants. If he believes in him as part of his staff, I know a lot of South African Man United fans are buzzing as well. So fair play. I'm not going to write off a staff member before they've even started.
Yeah, it's funny because I think that's sort of like the blanket sort of, statement now that all United fans are saying. Whether they agree or they disagree, well, if Ten Hag wants him, it's fine. Irrespective of my own feelings, if Ten Hag wants him, it's fine. But
yeah,
I remember I did say, a couple of weeks ago, look, I'm in the same camp of that. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that Ten Hag is right. Not all the time. It doesn't have to be right all the time. So
don't start, DJ. Don't start.
You know what? I'll leave it there.
No, don't start. I
mean, okay, maybe then they'll say I have an agenda against Ten Hag.
Why? How dare you? Right? Exactly. How dare you? Shubham says, if Eric Ten Hag wants to sell Rashi or Harry or Scotty next season, like he did with Noah Lang, well, the club wouldn't ever give him the authority to do that since these players are assets to the club. I would say that all players are assets to the club, in fairness to that last bit. Look, depending on what Eric Ten Hag does this season, he might have the authority to sell those players. At the moment, he doesn't want to. It would appear that Ten Hag hasn't come in and said, I want to sell Rashford, I want to sell Maguire, I want to sell McTominay. It looks like he has for other people. Wan-Bissaka, he was an asset to the club, and he's come and gone, no, shit, I don't want him. You know, that's what it appears like. And maybe that will change next season. But I would hope, again, that he has a season, almost irrespective of how we finish, but how we perform and how we play, that if he does make those calls on those players, then they'll go, okay. I mean, frankly, we have to. We have to give that authority back to the manager. It's the way that we have been run for the past decade clearly hasn't worked. And Eric Ten Hag is got to be the guy. He has to.
He has to be the guy. He has to be the guy. And I think Samuel Lakhurst came out just over sort of like the weekend, I believe, and was saying that that behind the scenes they are still looking to back the manager, to the hilt, really back the manager. So, we've got a few more weeks left of this transfer window. Let's see if they do that.
Let's see, indeed. And let's wrap it up by talking about United being open to defender offers, because James Ducker from The Telegraph is reporting that Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for an array of defenders, including Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Alex Telles, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, Axel Tuanzebe, and Brandon Williams. The reason I wanted to bring this up, because I feel like we've said this story about 10 million times here over the transfer window, is because they're all still here. My question to you, DJ, was going to be, do you see any of these players actually getting sold?
Maybe 2 out of that list, potentially.
Such as?
Bailly. I think Bailly could potentially be sold, even though I'd like to keep him. But if we're trying to generate funds to improve the team in other areas, then Bailly's probably the only marketable really guy you can really sell. I think Brandon Williams, he could go for maybe like 1.5 million, 2 million, whatever. One of those little deals. Bailly probably would go for anything from 30 on, I think. Jones, it's comical at this point that he's still there.
Did you say 30, by the way, with Bailly?
25?
I don't know if people are paying
20?
30 for Eric Bailly.
15?
Maybe I'd want maybe
10?
like 20. I want maybe like 20, 20. But I don't even know if they would be willing to pay that. I mean, the good thing is with Bailly is that he had a good preseason.
Yeah.
So that price can go up a bit. Yeah. And I know after the preseason he had, some are like, don't sell him. I just can't overlook the past. That is one where I can't. The statistics speak for themselves. 6 years, just over 100 games in all comps is unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And we've signed a centre back. We've signed another centre back. So we need to shift some. Clearly, my concern is that we'll get to the transfer window closing, and I'm not sure how many of these will actually be gone. I think it's been the objective to sell these players for the entirety of the window, and we're in August and offers aren't there. The only thing I would say is that as the season starts for all of these clubs, they then start to panic and realize how short they are, and maybe these players can sort of be pushed out fairly quickly.
I think Axel could probably generate some funds, but again, he's very similar to Bailly in the sense of hasn't been available a lot. I've seen flashes of good play, good stuff, but hasn't been available a lot. So potentially Axel, I'd say Axel probably could go for like 10 million, Bailly for maybe 20 million, that's 30 million.
Axel there. For 10. Axel for 10.
5, 8, 7.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's do this then. Let's go for all these players, and I'll give you and you say how much you think they'll go for.
All right, cool.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Let us know in the chat as well.
30 million.
30 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, 30 million. 30 million. English taxman. 30 million.
If we got 30 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I'll be glad I'm sitting down. I'd have faint.
All right, 25. Half of his evaluation then that we bought him for. Half 25.
We ain't getting anywhere near we pay for him. No chance.
So I think 25.
20, maybe at a push, I think.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's a bit more realistic. 16 million to 20, right like that.
20. 30. Oh.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll sell him this time. I think he'll go out on loan. I don't think people will be willing to pay 20, to be honest. I think he'd go back to Palace or something on loan. Yeah, I don't see him getting sold because I don't see the offers being there of someone being willing to pay 20. You know, I would say it might be a loan with an obligation to buy, hopefully, something like that. Alex Tellez, how much for him?
That's tough, man.
You're older,
10?
A little bit older.
10
I would say something like that. I could see it being like 10, to be
10.
honest.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't buy him for a ton anyway. Been linked to go to Spain. I think Sevilla possibly interested. Yeah, I would say maybe like a 10 or something like that. Eric Bailly, what did you say? 30 for Bailly?
30 for Bailly. Because he's a better defender than all of them, to be fair, in terms of his ability. But maybe 20. 20. I think 20 is fair.
Ivan with a super chat says Bambi isn't going anywhere or naywhere. I mean, the issue is with all of these, right, is that the transfer fee has to be relatively low because these clubs have to assume the wages of all of these players, and they've got very high wages. So a lot of these clubs will come in and say, I understand you think Bailly's worth 30 million, but his wages are big, so I'm paying you like 15 to make this deal work. And that might be the situation. Bailly, I would say 20 to 25, possibly. It's been rumored that he's been linked to places like Roma and Milan. I don't know if they've got that money to spend, to be honest.
Mourinho likes him.
Mourinho likes him. And Roma are just, I tell you what, I watched Roma a couple of times last season under Mourinho, and they're fun to watch in the sense of like the football isn't great, but it's just chaos.
Yeah.
Like they had so many last minute goals last season. Mourinho got sent off how many times? It's just
Mourinho's funny, man. He's probably the funniest manager in world football. He's hilarious. Like I could just watch a day in the life of Jose Mourinho. I think he's hilarious. He's funny.
Phil Jones, how much do you think we'd get for him if we sold him? Do you think we'll sell him?
500,000.
I think it'd be free. Yeah, I'm almost going to be like free transfer.
Free transfer. Yeah.
Free transfer. But I don't think he'll go. I've said that. I think he's going to stay. Unless, I mean, Chris here says DC United in for Jones. Maybe something like that. Join up with Wayne Rooney in America.
Chris,
maybe.
Chris, that's good. That's good. Rooney doing him a favor. Yeah.
But it would be a free transfer. But I mean, Bordeaux were in for him. last January in January, and he turned it down.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can.
The cheek of
Yeah,
it. What was it? The
wine
cheek
country, wine country. You could have been there on vineyards, swirling. It'd been great. But oh yeah, but no, he decided to stay. Axel Twanzebe.
I think he could go to maybe like the bottom side in the Prem,
like a Bournemouth.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's
for
a
how
good
much?
fit for him. 5 million.
I was going to say 8, but 5 to something like that. I'd be surprised if it got more than that. And Brandon Williams.
2 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
2 million. Yeah, maybe even 1 million.
It's not. Brandon Williams. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with 5. I'd take 5 all day. Yeah. I don't know if we'd get 5, to be honest. But what's crazy is he was playing in Europa League semi-finals for Manchester United.
He's fallen off. He's fallen off so bad.
But was he ever good enough? If you say fallen off, was he ever good enough?
Nah, I think we was just trying to champion him to be the heir to Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw had been. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's not.
That's
but again,
fan base. We do that.
Looking at all of those players, how many of them actually are going to leave this? So out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, 6 defenders, how many do you think leave?
2.
2,
and that's a stretch.
Honestly, I would probably agree with you. I think there's going to be players there that will just stick around and just not be involved. Again, I think Wan-Bissaka will go. I think Tellez will probably go. Maybe Bison, maybe 3. But those names that continue to be there all the time, Phil Joneses, Twanzebe, Brandon Williams, I can see it. I could see it happening, but fingers crossed. Nevertheless, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. If you wish to join the UV Members Club, you can do so by clicking the link in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. Season is nearly approaching. A mixture of nerves, excitement, and just glad that, football's back on a weekly basis once again. I feel like, I'm in a new relationship all over again, DJ. I'm ready to get hurt all over again. Yeah,
I'm still recovering from the last season. I'll be honest with you. I'm still recovering. And, if you don't get someone like De Jong, who could be really pivotal to what we were trying to do, I just dread to think what's going to happen.
Well, I was trying to end on a positive note, but that's fine. Either way, guys, we're out of it. Have a good one, and we'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.